Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching fifth part of What If Kid Naruto Was Raised by a Legendary Witch. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto watched as the scarred ninja, whose name was Morio Ibiki, picked off the genin teams one by one. The man in question was the head of the T&I department. He was in charge of getting as much information as possible out of his prisoners to protect Konoha from future threats. In fact, Naruto knew from Anko and Itachi that Ibiki had watched the first one to see if he should join his division. If the man wanted to know your deepest, darkest secrets, all he would have to do was attack your mind and make it hard for you to think straight. Morino Ibiki was, for all intents and purposes, pretty much a badass. Naruto said, "Wow, that guy is really scary." He had just seen 3 teams fail in the span of 5 minutes. "Without a doubt, Ibiki is the best," said Asuma with a smirk on his face. "Everyone has to cheat, but only the best in the room are getting away with it, and those who get caught are the ones who fail," Naruto said, while the other Chunin in the room were impressed that the boy figured it out. The group of Chunin and Naruto's group watched as Ibiki got rid of genin teams until only Konoha's current rookie 9, Guy's team, much to the man's shout of joy, and the one team from Sound were left. There were also 2 genin teams from Grass, 1 from AIM, 2 from Kiri, 3 from Iwa, and 2 from Kumo. Asuma was happy to say, "All right. My team passed." Because he knew Inoichi wasn't going to beat him up with his family jutsus for putting Ino through that. Even though Asuma knew that to be safe, he might have to be on guard for a week or 2. "Congratulations to everyone here. Your teams have passed the first stage of the Chunin exams," said Maleficent as she erased the image of the genin teams, letting out sighs of relief in the cauldron of water as if it had never been there. "Now they just need to get through the forest of death," Kakashi said in a casual way, but it made some of the other Chunin in the room look worried. Not surprising, since some of the Chunin had taken the Chunin exams here in Konoha and had been through the forest of death before. The place was full of dangerous animals, big bugs, and other dark, scary things that were waiting in the shadows for someone weak or stupid enough to go in. The Forest of Death was made to be a natural defense for Konoha during wartime and a high-level training ground for Konoha's shinobi to keep them strong during peacetime. It goes without saying that it wasn't a walk in the park. Maleficent said, "Let's go, Naruto. We'll meet the remaining teams at the central tower," as she, Naruto, and Haku walked out of the room. Guy said, "Wait. You can't go into the Forest of Death. You have to wait until all the teams go in within 5 days." He was worried that they would be attacked or go in without a guide. "That's not our problem. If any team wants to fight us, they can do so at their own risk. This wouldn't be the first time we were in this situation, and I actually like it," Maleficent said, shocking everyone. Except for Naruto, Anko, and Haku. "It's clear why. Hokage-sama will not like this," Kakashi said, and Maleficent narrowed her eyes at him. Maleficent asked the Chunin quickly, "Do I look like I care? Does my son look like he cares?" The Chunin quickly shook his head no. Maleficent didn't even look back as she took her son and 2 servants and walked away from Kakashi when she saw how he reacted. Sometime later, Forest of Death. The group took it easy as they walked through the thick forest. They were not in a hurry. Before they went in, the Sandaime Hokage tried to object, but the Dark Witch's power sent him flying and put him to silence. Even more embarrassing was the fact that Maleficent did this to the Sandaime in front of the other genin teams and that they were the first ones to walk into the Forest of Death. They were even more surprised when they walked into the chained, barbed-wired fence with many "Stay out" signs like it was their home. Naruto said, "We are being watched," as he slowly tightened his grip on his sword, which he had brought out just in case. "Yes, the slimy snake has finally decided to show himself to us," Maleficent said before using her power to cancel the wind jutsu that the Sannin had used to try to split up the group. It hit them like a simple breeze. Interesting. So the rumors are true. A woman who has complete control over nature chakra. Some say your skills are even better than the Sage of Six Paths, Orochimaru said with a wicked grin on his face. "I'm older than your Sage of Six Paths, and you worm don't have the skill or experience to fight me," Maleficent said, and Orochimaru's smile disappeared at the insult. "Actually, I think I do have them, since I've tricked old age and even death itself out of me many times. Also, I've heard that you're very maternal toward the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and treat him like your own son," said Orochimaru, while Maleficent's eyes narrowed at the hidden threat and her power pulsed over the area. Be careful with your next words, Sanin, or I will make sure they are your last in this world, Maleficent said in a cold voice, and the area seemed to tense up as her power came to the front of the world. I'm sorry. Despite what people say, I'm not your enemy here, your majesty. Konoha is my enemy, and has been for a long time. They gave the boy's father the Hokage position when I was more qualified and far more experienced in being my sensei's successor. And only because the man was the hero of the Third Shinobi War. Honestly, the man was so reckless with his life, and if he had known how Konoha treated his son. Maleficent asked Orochimaru, who nodded and grinned, you want us to work together or make some kind of peace? Yes, I do. I have plans for Konoha. Plans that involve the Chunin exams. Plans that you have unknowingly messed up until now, thanks to the Kazekage losing his son Gaara to you and one of the two red-haired girls taken from my base being one of my Sound 4. As it stands, I have a suitable replacement for Tayuya, but I would rather not have to rely on a stand-in for such a key part of my plan. Do you think I'm a fool? That I'm so powerful that I'd be just as arrogant if not more so? That I'll just trust you? That I'll ignore you? That I'll think you're going to leave me alone? Maleficent acts as Orochimaru's smile faded a little. It would be best for your health, as well as the health of your son and the girl next to him. Captured kunoichi tend to be treated much worse than their male shinobi counterparts, especially if they have a bloodline, which I heard this girl does, said Orochimaru just before he was violently thrown into a tree behind him and tied up with vines and roots. And for Naruto to move in before cutting off his head with a single cut. No one threatens my family and walks away happy, Naruto said to Orochimaru's head as his eyes turned red. Only for Orochimaru's body to turn into dirt, showing that it was a mud clone. Impressive for someone so young, said Orochimaru, who was standing behind Maleficent. Haku was getting ready to face him. Don't worry. He's just another clone. Using clones against us is pretty lame, and I find it kind of insulting, Maleficent said before she used her staff to send a pulse of power at the clone and make it fall apart. Oh, really? How so? Asked Orochimaru before Naruto came up behind him and cut the man in half. Only to turn into another mud clone. You're too scared to face us, Orochimaru, which isn't surprising since you're always afraid of dying. You know that if you did come out of hiding to face us, I'd kill you in a heartbeat, Maleficent said in a half-joking way. Orochimaru whispered, I have nothing to fear. I am a god among men. Maleficent smirked and let out a small laugh as Orochimaru spoke. A god? You? That's like a snake saying it's a dragon. A lie if there ever was one, and a perverse lie at that. If you were truly fearless and not afraid of dying against us, you would show yourself instead of sending your earthworm copies in your place, Maleficent said, now a little amused. In response, Orochimaru didn't say anything, so she knew her words had hit him with the painful truth. She could easily tell it was him, the real him, and not some mud clone version of him brooding over her right after his pride had been hurt. I suggest you leave Orochimaru-san. My mother is not someone you want to cross. She has the power, the skill, and the temper to make sure your last moments of life are forever filled with pain, Naruto said as he looked over to where the Sannin was hiding and could tell the man was surprised he could be found. Very well. I'll leave for now, but don't think this is over. I won't let a Jinchuriki or his wish for a mother ruin my plans to destroy Konoha. If we meet again, Maleficent-sama, you can be sure that your death won't be pleasant, and I'll enjoy dissecting your body before you die, said Orochimaru as he slithered away. Like a worm would do, she said. Getting the last word in and trying to make it sound like he didn't leave out of some kind of mercy on his part. Ha. He's way too proud of himself, Maleficent thought as she walked with Naruto and Haku back toward the central tower. Maleficent's plans didn't change at all because of what Orochimaru had in mind for Konoha. On the contrary, things turned out great for her in the end, thanks to the curse she put on the Sandaime Hokage based on a prediction. Forest of Death, Central Tower, and 5 days later. Maleficent, Naruto, Haku, and Anko, in her human form now, were watching the genin below from the balcony of the arena. Some people had it worse than others. Some of them had a few cuts and scrapes and were dirty. Others looked like they had been chewed up by the Forest of Death and were about to be spit out. The teams from Suna, Sound, Guy, and the Rookie 9 were the only ones left. The Suna team looked fine, the Sound team looked a little worse for wear, and Guy's team didn't look too bad. The Rookie 9, on the other hand, looked like they had seen better days, which showed how well taken care of they had been so far. Shikamaru looked like he had rolled in some dirt, Choji looked like he was about to pass out from lack of food, and Ino's hair looked awful while it was covered in as much or more dirt than Shikamaru. Shino, Hinata, and Kiba had been in a fight with two Kumo teams. In both cases, the three of them barely won. Both Kumo teams wanted to capture the Hyuga heiress because they knew from the information they got in Kumo that Neji was from a branch family and couldn't be taken back to the village to get his eyes because of the cage bird seal. But the two Kumo teams decided to split up, get the scroll they needed to pass, and then go after the Hyuga girl on Team 8. The problem was that one of the teams had finished before the other, so they didn't wait for the other team to finish before attacking their target. If they had waited and worked together to go after Konoha's Genin Team 8, the mission to capture a main family Hyuga right under Konoha's nose would have been a success. As it turned out, both teams lost, even if it was close, and the winners were able to move on to the second part of the Chunin exams. Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai, who were on Genin Team 7, looked like they had been through the worst of it. Not surprising when you think about how Orochimaru came to see them, gave Sasuke the mark for the curse seal, and sent his pawns, the sound team, to test the seal on the boy. Sai and Sakura were able to hold off the sound team until Sasuke woke up with the curse seal working, at which point they tore them apart with brutal force. Of course, Sakura was the one who was able to snap Sasuke out of his psychotic state. This saved the sound team from being brutally hurt or killed by the Uchiha while he was crazy from the curse seal. In exchange for this act of kindness, a boy named Dosu gave Team 7 their scroll and went to look for another team to steal another one. One of the two grass teams had been eaten by a bear, and this gave them a way to get through. Suna had left, but Temari and Kankuro both knew that Gaara would have helped them get through the forest of death faster. Their father was so mad that Gaara was no longer a part of Suna, and they knew that things would only get worse as long as the man kept acting like he was stuck in quicksand and struggling to get out. Isn't that funny? What was even more interesting, though, was that Orochimaru was standing right behind the Sandaime Hokage while pretending to be the sound team's Junin sensei. This was quite a sight in and of itself, but the fact that he was there was almost scary. It wasn't hard to tell because the Sannin only hid their features with tanner for their pale skin and contact lenses for their snake-like yellow eyes. Maleficent thought that the man wanted to see how his new toy was doing and how the Uchiha would deal with the curse seal. And then there was the man's little spy, Kabuto, who wore glasses. The boys' team had no trouble at all. There were no cuts, scrapes, or other signs that they had been in a real fight. But Kabuto raised his hand to show he was going to back out. For real? He looks like a spy. It's almost like it's written on his face. The genjutsu on his headband hides the sound symbol and makes it look like the Konoha symbol. I mean, how could anyone not see it? Naruto thought as Kabuto was taken out of the arena and taken somewhere else. Even though Kabuto gave up, Naruto could see that no one else was going to give up from here on out. They were tired, dirty, and a little upset that they had to keep going right away into a bunch of preliminary matches, but they weren't going to give up now. Naruto knew that, and he respected their choice to keep going. Why do they need to stop now? They made it this far when weaker genin a few years older than them would have given up by now. Let's see what these genin can do. It should be interesting to see who fights who in this event, Maleficent said as she looked at Orochimaru and narrowed her eyes at him with a "I know who you are" look that made the Sannin's eyes go wide in shock that she could see through his disguise. She already knows I'm here. If the witch tells on me, Sensei and his ninjas will come after me, making it very hard to get away. Danzo's tricks on the guards were the only reason I was able to get in without much trouble. I can't get out of this place. Orochimaru thought, but then he looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and saw that the old man was paying attention to the beginning of the preliminary matches. A quick look at Maleficent showed that she wasn't interested in telling the old monkey about the snake in the grass. Instead, she was focused on the match below. When Orochimaru looked at the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, he saw that the blonde was looking at him before the blue turned red. He then lit up for a second to tell the snake not to try too hard while he was here. As Naruto watched the matches going on, he saw that Sasuke had been up and was going up against one of Kabuto's teammates. The guy could drain chakra, and he took a lot of it from Sasuke before the Uchiha won with a strange combination of moves. After seeing Rock Lee's surprise and hearing him gasp, Naruto realized that whatever combo Sasuke used was at least a copy of a move Rock Lee used. It's typical of Uchiha to copy with their eyes something they shouldn't. Shino Aburame and Zaku from Sound were up next. The first guy kept his cool and didn't show any emotion toward his opponent, who had a broken arm because of the Uchiha. Still, Zaku's pride wouldn't let him lose after getting this far with his injury and against a weirdo whose body was full of bugs. Zaku used his decapitating airwave with the one hand he could still use to blow Shino to pieces. He thought he had won, but it turned out that the Shino in front of him was actually a bug clone made from the bugs in the Abarame's body. When Zaku turned around, a backhand punch to the face sent him flying back. He landed on his back and glared at his opponent. Zaku thought about how weak he felt as a child and said, "To hell with it." He then used his broken hand to surprise everyone by sending out another decapitating airwave. At the very least, he tried to do it, but it didn't work. When Zaku looked more closely, he saw that the holes in his palms where the airwaves came out were full of bugs. They had been swarming him since almost the beginning of the match. When he was knocked down, they got under his clothes, and when he used his move on the bug clone, they hid behind the debris. Now that the pipes in his arms were full of bugs, the genin from sound had no power and was at the mercy of the unflinching Aburame in front of him. Of course, when most people are scared, they tend to do something stupid, and Zaku tried to go all out. The boy had tried, to the surprise of almost everyone watching, to use the pressure of the air in his arms to break through the blockage. He hoped that it would create a bigger airwave that would be strong enough to kill the Konoha genin in front of him. And in the process, the sound genin was only able to break both of his arms, which exploded from the inside because the air pressure had nowhere else to go. Maleficent said, "That was well done," as she watched Shino walk up the stairs and the next match was chosen at random. The Aburame has a lot of potential as a ninja, but he depends too much on his insects. His greatest strength is also his greatest weakness, Naruto said, and Haku nodded in agreement. Shino himself had stopped walking for a moment to listen to the words that had just been said. He frowned as he thought about what had been said. It was true that he cared more about how to use his bug colony than anything else. Shino realized, though, that it might not be smart to rely on them too much because there were other ninja out there who had fought Aburame clan members before and knew how to deal with the insects in their bodies. It has happened in all three of the shinobi wars, when the shinobi villages fought against each other. Using poisonous gases, different elemental jutsus that were made to destroy a large area, and even some rare weapons that were said to have magical powers are just a few examples. I should ask Father if I can learn ninja arts so I can learn more than just how to use my colony. Shino thought, maybe something like swords or other weapons with fighting styles similar to how some insects fight. He then went back to his team. Next, Kabuto's other teammate took on Konkuro, the oldest son of the K's Cage. Konkuro won easily by tricking his opponent into fighting his puppet. Everyone else thought it was him, but it was just a puppet, and it beat the man who seemed to have 3 joints in battle. Mother, something doesn't seem right. Both of Kabuto's teammates and Kabuto himself have skills that go beyond those of a genin. I think they work for a snake that is hiding, Naruto whispered to his mother, who nodded as she carefully watched the competition. Agreed. I'm sure they're here to test the Uchiha's progress. The boy is Itachi's younger brother, and he seems to have the same curse seal that poor Anko had before I changed it with my power years ago, Maleficent said as Anko fought the urge to look at her old sensei, but she knew Maleficent wouldn't let her. If what you told me about mine and the curse seal's purpose is true, Orochimaru wants the Sharingan and wants to live in the body of a Uchiha to get it. One he can mold to his liking and has time to make a way to hold his soul for a short time, Anko said while Maleficent was talking. That would be like being able to learn all the magic spells from her time, which Maleficent knew was impossible. Even if she tried to follow a path like Orochimaru's, she would never be able to do it because there are too many things to learn. The fairies or nature itself almost always made new spells and powers back in her time. It was like trying to pull the whole universe through a single abyss portal at the speed of a glacier. Maleficent whispered, "Such a dream is a fool's errand, my dear. It will drive the Sannin crazy, if it hasn't already," which made Orochimaru frown angrily for a second. "No one can stop me from reaching my goals. I'll be strong enough to kill you one day, and that will be a very happy time." Orochimaru thought, "I can't help but wonder what secrets your body holds that I'll find when I cut it up." Then he turned his attention to the matches in front of him. As this kept going on, the games started to get a little bit boring. Sakura and Ino were fighting back and forth. They wanted to show that they were kunoichi and worthy of their Sasuke-kun's affection, even though it was clear that Sakura cared more about the latter. Ino had seen Sasuke's attack on the sound team with his little dark manifestation before she and her two teammates could do anything to help Team 7. Since then, it has given Ino a lot to think about, and she is starting to grow out of her "I love Sasuke-kun" phase. So, the platinum blonde girl had a slight advantage in the fight with Sakura, but it wasn't a big one because she hadn't trained as much, and the two were almost even. All but. Ino did get some training from her sensei and from her father when he had time to spare and was at home. Sakura did get training from Kakashi, but it was mostly about working as a team. After that, she spent her days shopping for new clothes or reading magazines that told girls how to get their one true love by following a few easy steps. Sakura's bad luck was that she couldn't even get past step 1. While the two girls were fighting in the arena, Naruto decided to pay attention to something or someone much more interesting. He looked at Hyuga Hinata and saw that she was looking at him too. She looked away with a slight blush on her face and then looked back at him. Probably got caught staring at him and felt bad about it. Naruto wasn't sure if she remembered him or if Hiruzen had Inoichi or another Yamanaka dive into her head to erase the memory of the moment they shared years ago. He did know, though, that time had not been kind to the girl's mind or her emotional state as she grew up. The other Hyuga who were close to her would sometimes look at Hinata with a frown that was almost a scowl, and the weak pulse of killer intent didn't help. Everyone else was too busy watching the fights in the arena to notice or try to notice what was going on. Naruto didn't understand why anyone would be interested in two kunoichi who fought like they were on the playground at school. In the end, Ino was able to win the match, even though the mind transfer jutsu she learned from her father didn't quite work on Sakura. The blonde had to knock Sakura out while she was still stumbling from the effects of the jutsu. This made her the winner. She kept talking to herself about Sakura having a second personality, which made people wonder if the pink-haired girl was really crazy. The next match was between Inuzuka Kiba and a boy named Sai whose skin was pale and whose smile was fake. Here, Naruto saw Kiba acting like himself, bragging that his opponent was going to lose badly because of the power of the Inuzuka clan. Sai, on the other hand, just gave him a fake smile and pulled out his tanto, ignoring the Inuzuka's taunts for the first 5 minutes of the fight. When Kiba saw that bragging and teasing Sai didn't work, the Inuzuka charged forward with Akamaru, his dog, who looked just like his master. That fight was over almost as soon as it started. Kiba was stabbed in a non-vital part of his stomach, and Akamaru was knocked out with an elbow to the face. When Sai put the weapon to Kiba's throat, the referee, Gekko Hayate, stopped the fight before anything bad could happen. After that brief moment, the screen on the wall showed a random list of names until it stopped on 2 names that made one person gasp and the other person smile with happiness. Hyuga Neji versus Hyuga Hinata. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that because there was a 1 in a million chance that those two would be put up against each other in this preliminary part of the Chunin exams. This could only happen if the names weren't picked at random and someone set up this match to happen later, making it look like it was that 1 in a million shot in the dark. Hinata didn't want to fight Neji, and she had a good reason not to. The girl didn't like sparring with her family, let alone her cousin in the Branch family, where they were almost slaves. She was always nice and kind to the Branch family, which made the main family very unhappy. When they saw this, they did everything they could to stop her from being so nice. But nothing they tried worked. As is the Hyuga clan tradition, they had Hinata's younger sister Hanabi fight with the girl so that the oldest would beat the youngest. Hinata didn't put her whole heart into the spars because she thought it was wrong to fight against family in gentle fist because the style was so dangerous. Hinata was afraid to fight with her family because she had seen a fight between 2 family members when she was only 4 years old. Hinata wasn't supposed to see it, but as a young girl who liked to explore, she found herself opening the door to one of the sparring rooms and saw how brutal a spar was from the outside. It had been a fight between a member of the main family and a member of the Branch family, with the main family member being the clear winner. Hinata didn't know at the time if the Branch family member stayed back because they were afraid of getting hurt by the cage bird seal, but she did see the main family member kill the Branch family member. In fact, the main family member seemed to enjoy it as he beat the Branch family member over and over again, his eyes shining with a desire for blood. Even after the fight was over, the main family member spat on the Branch family member, made fun of him for being so weak, and laughed at him. The poor girl ran away and went straight to her mother. She was crying before she could tell her what had happened to make her so upset. Hinata's mother calmed her daughter down and told Hiyashi what had happened, but he didn't seem to care that his daughter had been crying because she had seen 2 family members fighting. The man didn't even agree that the outcome of the fight was wrong, and he didn't have any plans to punish the main family member who won the fight. Hinata was having a hard time before her mother died and everything else that happened after, like her father becoming colder. The Hyuga clan, which was supposed to be a family that sticks together, was falling apart more and more every day. The branch family's anger and hatred were getting worse, and it was only a matter of time before their anger at being treated unfairly overcame their fear of death or punishment through the cage bird seal. Now, it looked like one of those times had come, because Neji was getting ready to take out his anger on his cousin, and the situation gave him no choice but to crush Hinata. He had been hoping for this to happen either now or at the Chunin exam finals, if her team got that far. Neji didn't think Hinata's team would pass the written test for the first part of the Chunin exams, but they did. Most of the time, he thought it was just luck, but the Hyuga prodigy knew deep down that the fates were working against his cousin and trying to show everyone how weak Hinata really was. And this is the best place to do it. Neji would have liked the Chunin exam finals to take place in a more public place like the arena, but he wasn't one to question the powers that be, so he did what was in front of him. He also thought that the people around them were enough of an audience, since this match would be held in front of the Hokage, the many Junin senseis in the room, the other genin in the room, and of course, the son of Yondaime, whom his cousin secretly liked. Neji planned to make the blonde think that Hinata wasn't worth anything. Let her see in one match that she was nothing to Neji, the clan, and Naruto. He planned to hurt her. This spot. This instant. Neji said, "So this is it, Hinata-sama. Our long-awaited match. One where the Hyuga main family won't stop me from showing you my power." Hinata looked sad to see her cousin be so mean. "I wish we didn't have to fight like this, Neji. We're family, and families shouldn't fight like this. But I'll fight you if I have to, even if it's just to show that I'm as strong as everyone else," Hinata said as she copied Neji's gentle fist stance and looked over at Naruto, who was now watching with interest. Neji said as he was getting ready for Hayate to start the match, "Strong? Like everyone else? You're not strong, Hinata-sama. You've always been weak, and you always will be. Fate has already decided this fight, and I've won. You'll soon realize that before this is over. I'm going to be sorry I did this." Before Hayate gave the signal for the match to start, he thought, "I just know it." Then he saw Neji move in and take control of the match. Naruto, Maleficent, Anko, and Haku watched the match from the stands. Their eyes were so sharp and keen that they didn't miss a single move made by either fighter. Neji was the more aggressive of the two, and he attacked his cousin, who was a little younger and less skilled. Hinata, on the other hand, showed that she was very quick and able to avoid the blows that were aimed at her most important parts. Hinata tried to hit Neji back when she wasn't trying to avoid his blows. If Shino's whispered assessment was correct, she was holding her ground. Naruto didn't agree, though, because he had seen things that other people might have missed, and he was sure that everyone else around him had seen the same thing. "He's done a lot of damage to her arms," Naruto said with a worried look in his eyes as he watched Neji give the girl an uppercut to the face and then hit her with another blow that knocked her to the ground. It is said that the Hyuga clan's gentle fist taijutsu focuses on shutting down chakra points of their targets using the Byakugan. It has the ability to see those chakra points and shut them down with each strike using the chakra in their hands. By hitting the specific points all over the body, a person's chakra network can't work, or if the Hyuga wants to be cruel, they can damage a person's internal organs without actually piercing. Neji decided to kill Hinata because he was getting stronger by the second. He hit her in the chest near the heart, right where he knew she would die. The girl gasped in shock and pain, stumbled back, grabbed her chest, and looked at Neji, shocked that he had hit such a sensitive spot on her body. She knew the body's chakra points almost as well as Neji did. She also knew that hitting that point could hurt the heart muscles badly or even cause heart failure if nothing was done. Neji was on Hinata again before she could even say a word. He hit her in the stomach, which made her cough up blood and hurt her even more. Neji whispered in Hinata's ear, "You're done for, Hinata-sama. In a few moments, your heart will stop, and you'll die. I'll get justice for my father's death for the good of the main family, and the clan will be rid of weak, whiny people like you in the process." Before he found Hinata, he was surprised when she hit him in the face with her left hand with enough force to make him fall away from the girl. Hinata didn't give up, even when she fell to her knees and puked up more blood. She didn't want to give the referee a reason to end the match. Even though she was in a bad way, she looked up at Naruto and saw him nod in acknowledgement. She then read his lips as he gave her one silent command. Get up. Stand up and fight. Hinata didn't know why, but she found the strength and resolve to do what Naruto told her to do. She didn't know what made her get up, even though Kurenai's sensei had said something about stopping the match and another genin had said that going on would be suicidal. Hinata only knew that Naruto had been watching her, that he had only seen her, and that he thought she could still fight if she kept going. She would keep going, too. Not for herself alone. Not just to protect the pride of the Hyuga clan main family, which she hated. Not even because Naruto is now watching her. But to prove to everyone that she was strong. Her strength. Her strong will. She was going to show everyone that Hyuga Hinata was not a shy girl who was afraid of her own shadow. And maybe, just maybe, her father would be proud of her for being so strong and determined, even if she lost in the end. This can't happen. She should be dead or dying on the ground. Why does she still want to fight? Why does she keep trying to go against the odds? Neji thought this as he easily blocked her blows and knocked the girl back several times, each time with a stronger blow. Hinata kept coming after him, though. You say we are prisoners of fate, Neji, but you are the real prisoner. You have hated me so much for your father's death. You hate me because I am from the main family and you are from the branch family. You are a prisoner to your own hatred, and you don't even know it. All I can feel for you is sorrow and pity, whispered Hinata, but the silence around them let her words echo, and shocked the Hyuga prodigy that. Before the shock turned into anger on its own. Sorrow? Pity? I don't want either of those from you. I want you to die. Neji yelled as he charged forward, ready to kill his cousin and make up for what his father had gone through because he was born just a few seconds after his twin Hiyashi. And as Neji charged at Hinata, she could do nothing but stare at him, helpless against his attack, which was meant to send her to the next world. It looked like she was going to die. Hinata would die at the hands of her own cousin, and if she got to see her Ka-san again after she died, then maybe death wasn't so bad after all. As for Neji himself, he would have killed Hinata right away with his attack. If he had hit her, she would have hurt. Before the Hyuga prodigy could finish off the girl, his sensei grabbed him by the collar of his shirt and pulled him back hard. The other 3 Chunin senseis of the village held him in place. In the end, it was probably for the best because Guy had pulled Neji back because the giant sword Kabikirabocho was about an inch away from cutting the Hyuga boy's neck. The sword was stuck in the ground diagonally from where Naruto had thrown it. He was now by Hinata's side, holding her close and staring into her lavender eyes. He hadn't noticed her eyes until recently, and he was surprised when she smiled at him even though blood was coming out of both sides of her mouth. Hinata whispered, I can see it in your eyes. You remember me, as Naruto's eyes widened in shock at what she said and time seemed to slow down around them. Your memories weren't erased or changed like mine, Naruto whispered, but Hinata just smiled more because she had recently thought that was the case when they met again after a long time and he didn't even recognize her when she was with the rest of her team. Father wouldn't let me. He was afraid the Yamanaka clan would find out something about my eyes or some clan secret I saw as a child. He thought the memory of you saving me was a punishment in itself, to hurt me for being so weak back then. He thought it was embarrassing for the Hyuga clan that someone outside of our blood saved me from those bullies, but I wouldn't remember you. I just recently remembered you and what I did to lose my memories of the time we spent together. If I had known then what I know now. Naruto started to say, but Hinata coughed and had a spasm while holding the boy's arms. We need a doctor right now. Yelled Kurenai as she looked back and saw Hinata struggling to stay alive. Maleficent said, there will be no need for that, as she appeared behind Naruto in a green flame and put her hand on his shoulder. Get away from the Hyuga heiress now, Naruto and Maleficent. Let the medic nins trained in this matter take care of her, said the Sandaime Hokage. But Maleficent didn't listen when she got down on her knees to look at Hinata and saw that she was in trouble. Such a critical blow to the heart and other injuries from the fighting style your clan uses. If your cousin hadn't done what she did, I might be impressed and applaud the fighting style called Gentle Fist, Maleficent said as Hinata watched the woman put her hand on her chest and felt the dark witch's power wash over her. Kurenai told them, get away from her now. And she moved to get them away from her student. Only to be stopped by a wall of ice mirrors and a small group of snakes coming from each side of Anko's trench coat sleeves. I wouldn't do that if I were you, said Anko as Haku's shape, holding senbon needles, appeared in the ice mirrors. You would only get in the way and get hurt, Haku said firmly, keeping an eye on the Hokage and all the other Chunin in the room. Don't worry, my dear. You fought well. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Your cousin, on the other hand. That's a whole other story, said Maleficent as she used her power to heal Hinata and watched as Naruto helped the girl up and rubbed her back to make her feel better. Thank you, Naruto-kun, for helping me, and thank you, Maleficent-sama, for healing my wounds. I owe you both, said Hinata as she slowly pulled away from Naruto's embrace and bowed to the woman who said she was Naruto's mother. Don't worry, my dear. My son is the one who deserves your praise, Maleficent said as she watched Hinata nod and, on a whim, give Naruto a quick kiss on the cheek. Naruto blushed a lot, and the blonde Uzumaki did the same at the girl's unexpected move. Hinata smiled and said, thank you again, Naruto-kun, while Naruto smiled from behind the bandages on his face, just below where the girl had kissed him. No problem, Hinata-chan, Naruto said as Anko and Haku put their weapons away to let Hinata's Chunin sensei pass. I'm glad you're okay, Hinata. Let's get you checked out by Tsunade-sama just to be safe, said Kurenai as she slowly moved Hinata away from Naruto while giving him and Maleficent a thank you look. Neji glared at Hinata and said, how sad. It would have been more kind to let her die. He then turned his attention to Naruto, who picked up his sword and glared at the Hyuga. And why is that? Naruto asked Neji, who was making fun of him. Because once back home, her father will have no choice but to make Hinata a part of the lowest ranks of branch family. He will mark her with the cage bird seal just like I was years ago. The suffering Hinata-sama will go through in the following years will be long and immense. Of course, she is biggest failure of the clan so it is only right such a person be placed among the lowest of servants, replied Neji while Naruto scowled at him. Haku asked Neji, aren't you one of those lowly servants yourself? You are a branch family member, right? As he turned his glare toward her. I was born into this kind of servitude. Hinata is a spoiled and weak child who has been given everything. Once Hinata-sama is made a servant of the main family, she will crumble under the demands they make of her and will have no choice but to suffer in silence, Neji said with a smirk on his face at the thought of his cousin suffering. Naruto said, you actually like the idea of her suffering like that. Seeing your own blood in pain. You are a disgusting creature. Neji's smirk went away, and the glare came back. I don't answer to you, son of the Yondaime. If you're going to defend Hinata-sama, that means you're just as weak as she is, if not weaker. Of course, that's what you'd expect from someone who hides behind his surrogate demon mother for protection, said Neji before Naruto's killer intent hit him and the blonde was in front of him with the sword already in the down position. The three Chunin around Neji tried to do something, but it was like time stopped for them when they saw Naruto attack Neji with the Kabikirabocho and cut the boy in half vertically. The attack would have killed Neji for insulting not only Naruto but also Hinata by saying that the Hyuga prodigy would like to see the girls suffer at home. The key word is, would have. It didn't happen because a wall of green magic energy stopped the blade just a few inches from where it was supposed to hit. Naruto and the three Chunin around Neji were thrown back a few feet by the shockwave caused by the impact. Only then did Naruto turn in shock to look at his mother. She stopped me from attacking. But why? Naruto thought as he turned around to see Neji grinning. Neji teased Naruto, saying, see? Fate is on my side today. Even your so-called mother defended me from your anger. Maybe she doesn't love you as much as you thought. Naruto's anger was growing, and crimson demonic chakra was starting to show up around him until a fox's head appeared above. And making a lot of people nervous in the stands. Maleficent said, enough, Naruto. And stomped her staff on the ground. Her power washed over the room, stopping her son. Mother? Naruto asks, not understanding why she wasn't letting him kill this fool in front of them while the fox's power went back into his body. Maleficent said, there's a time and a place to get mad at this idiot Naruto, but now is not that time. Naruto reluctantly agreed with her because he knew she was right, and he stopped himself from getting even angrier. Haku-chan, come with me. I think seeing another friendly face will make Hinata feel better, Naruto said as he left the arena to go to the medical area where Tsunade was checking on Hinata. Haku said, yes, Naruto-sama, but she couldn't help but feel a little annoyed that Naruto kept looking at this girl from Konoha. Neji said, what a wimp. And to think he's the son of the Yondaime Hokage. He doesn't deserve that right. But then he was pushed forward by someone else and found himself in Maleficent's iron grip. My son is not a weakling, you disrespectful worm. I did not spare your miserable life out of some misplaced love for you or some misguided belief you follow. I spared your miserable life because death at the hands of my son at this point in time would be far too merciful for the likes of you. My son has a good heart and a mean temper when it comes to those close to him being mocked or hurt by disgusting filth like yourself. As a result, I can't move, she said. I can't even take a breath. Why does no one stop her? Neji thought this as he looked around at the other Chunin in the room and saw that almost everyone was frozen in place but wide awake. You say that fate is on your side and that's why you beat your cousin. I disagree, Hyuga Neji. It wasn't fate that let you beat your cousin, and it wasn't fate that kept you from being killed instantly by my son. It was the love of your cousin, which stopped her from using the cage bird seal on your head. It was my power and intervention that stopped Naruto from cutting your body in half. You wouldn't dare. The Hokage would stop you, said Neji, whose mouth was given just enough movement to let him talk, even if it was barely. Your Hokage? Stop me? Let me tell you something about your precious Hokage. Your Hokage is a liar and a thief. He lied to my son for years. He tried to manipulate things so Naruto would be a loyal, obedient, and clueless servant of this wretched village. A village that would sooner kill my son, throw his body into a tiny ditch in order to be either be eaten by wild animals, or simply be set on fire for their own sick amusement while they danced around the hole with glee. Your precious Hokage stole my son's childhood by letting everyone hate him and doing nothing to stop the abuse. The Hokage chose to let people step all over Naruto rather than step on their throats and exert his authority as the ruler of this village out of fear he would somehow be replaced by someone in the village who would want following their way of thinking. As things currently stand, he will do nothing simply because the Hokage can do nothing, replied Maleficent while Neji grit his teeth at feeling the tightening pressure of the woman's hand on his face. How could this woman be so strong? Neji said, the village will go to war, and Nami will suffer. He was trying to get the woman to see that fighting an entire ninja village would hurt the people of Nami and make her a better leader. Oh, I'm sure they'll think about it. I'm sure they've already thought about it since they found out I took my son away from this miserable village. But it doesn't matter. This village's quest for war will fail, and those who are causing it will fall soon enough, Maleficent said in a mysterious way as Neji tried to give her a defiant look. Neji asked Maleficent, who was smiling evilly at her, if you're so sure of yourself, why don't you kill me now? It's a tempting thought, but now is not the time for you to die. Suffer, yes, but die, no, not yet, Maleficent said as her power started to swirl around like a vortex, making Neji more nervous. No matter what you say or do, I won't change my mind about what will happen to Hinata-sama. She will suffer at the hands of the clan no matter what, Neji said, his eyes glowing with the evil light of Maleficent. Never say never, child. You don't know what I can do, and you haven't seen my son or me use all of our power, Maleficent said as a dark figure appeared behind her, making Neji's eyes widen in horror. And what exactly was he seeing? Well, if you said a huge winged dragon with scales as black as the darkest shadows, greenish-black flames coming out of its mouth, and a hungry look on its face, you were right. Maleficent let go of Neji when she had made her point. The boy was now on his knees and looking scared. Not really a surprise when you think about how scary what he saw was, let alone how supernatural the dragon's presence was. Guy asked Neji, are you okay? After the power that was holding him and the other people back had gone away. Neji whispered to Guy, did you see that? Guy shook his head. Guy asked Neji, who was trying to figure out what he just saw, see what, Neji? What did you see just now? What did Maleficent-sama show you with her power? Neji whispered, I saw a monster. I saw a monster, as Guy helped him stand up and helped the boy climb up to the balcony. What did you say? I couldn't move any part of my body. I even couldn't get to my chakra. I was quite literally a living statue. The Sandaime Hokage thought this as he looked from Neji to Maleficent with a mix of awe, fear, and a little bit of anger because of what Maleficent had called him in that short conversation with Neji. Maleficent was always a threat to him in Konoha, and his plans for Naruto became clearer as time went on. Naruto is there. When Tsunade felt that something was wrong, she asks, what was that? This was just before Naruto and Haku came into the room to see her checking on Hinata. Most likely, my mother is making her presence known, Naruto said with a smirk. Then, after Tsunade gave him a clean bill of health, he turned his attention to the shy girl next to him. Maleficent-sama can be pretty scary when she's angry. I'm sure Neji-san said something to make her use her power in that way, Haku said as she kept her mask on Hinata and looked at the girl. She felt a twinge of something. Indeed. So, what's the news, Tsunade-san? Is Hinata-chan fully healed? Naruto acts as Tsunade quickly looked at him, then at the door to the arena, and then back at the Hyuga girl. For now, she is healed, but there is still a small amount of blood in Hinata's lungs, despite what your mother did to heal her, Naruto. Hinata, my advice to you is to take it easy for the rest of the day and most of tomorrow before doing any heavy training. I don't know what Maleficent did with her power, so I just want you to be careful, said a worried Tsunade as Hinata nodded. Hinata politely said, of course, Tsunade-sama, while Tsunade went to the arena to see how the other competitors were doing instead of waiting for the dead to be brought to her. You fought well against your cousin, Naruto said. Hinata blushed a little because she didn't agree, which made her frown a little. Hinata said, I still lost, with a sad face. You lost with honor. Not many people can say that. Besides, did you want to take the easy way out? Naruto asked Hinata, who was frowning in confusion. Hinata acts in surprise, easy way out? Naruto just smiled and pointed to his forehead. Neji's seal, the one on his forehead. It gives all members of the main family of your clan the power to force them into submission through extreme pain. You could have used it when the match started and humiliated Neji in front of almost everyone watching, Naruto said. Hinata's eyes widened in surprise, since few people outside the clan knew about Neji being a branch family member or what the cage bird seal did to those among their ranks. Hinata was shocked. You know about the seal? She asks. Yes, Itachi-sensei went on a few missions with a couple of branch family members from your clan when he was still in Konoha. He saw the seal on one of them and politely asked about it because he was curious, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded to show that she understood. I see. As for why I didn't use the seal, it felt wrong. If I was going to fight Neji, I wanted it to be a fair match, and I wanted to show everyone I could fight without the use of such a thing. I have seen the Hyuga main family use it against the branch family when sparring and force them into submission while they rolled on the floor in pain. If I did that to Neji, I would be no better than them. I couldn't. Oh, I see. So that's why he hates you, Naruto said, narrowing his eyes and looking at the door. Yes, it does, my son, Maleficent said as she came out of the doorway's shadows and approached the shy Hyuga girl. Hinata was shocked and said, Maleficent-sama. She then bowed low in her presence, which made the woman smile and laugh. You don't need to bow to me, child. You've done enough of that for one day, Maleficent told Hinata, who nodded while trying not to be scared of this woman. Hinata knew that you did not challenge this woman in any way, shape, or form, unless you were trying to kill yourself. If you were, you should go ahead and upset the woman as much as you want. Naruto asked the woman, do the other matches not interest you, Ka-san? The woman shrugged. After that little trick that boy did on young Hinata, I made sure that everyone still in the preliminaries got a nice 10-minute break, Maleficent said with a small smile of mischievous amusement on her face. Of course, Naruto said with a smirk from behind his bandages. Before we go back to watch the fights, I wanted to ask Hinata about what Neji said about her future. He said that her father and clan saw her loss as an insult to the main family, and that they planned to punish her by making her a branch family member and making her use the cage bird seal. Is this true? Maleficent asked Hinata, who flinched and nodded with fear in her eyes. Yes. He will. My father doesn't like the way I do things, like how I hesitate to fight other clansmen in spars and how nice I am to the branch family. Even if I hadn't lost my match here today, he would probably say my younger sister is a better candidate to be the next clan head, and I would be sent to the branch family anyway. All I did was give them a reason to talk about it at the next meeting they will have soon. Naruto said, what they are doing to their own clan is pure barbarism, and Haku and Maleficent agreed. Hinata said, what others would call barbaric about the cage bird seal, the Hyuga clan has called tradition for generations, since before the shinobi villages were built and clans roamed freely through the elemental countries. The cage bird seal was made to keep the Byakugan from falling into the hands of rivals or enemies who want to learn our secrets. No offense, Hinata-chan, but if the Hyuga clan as a whole were really so righteous and passionate about such a way to protect the Byakugan, the cage bird seal would be on everyone's heads. Not only that, but they wouldn't have a pain section on the seal that targets the brain when it is activated and fries the brain while the person is still alive, Naruto said, with Maleficent, Haku, and Hinata nodding. I know. I had hoped to one day become head of the Hyuga clan and use my position to fix the growing divide our family has been going through for years. Since Kumo tried to kidnap me when I was 3, it has gotten worse, and I fear our clan will violently implode on itself, Hinata said with concern, and it was clear to the three that the girl cared about the Hyuga clan, even if the clan didn't care about her. If Neji's actions are any indication, things are going to get a lot worse before they get better, and the implosion you mentioned will happen sooner rather than later, Naruto said, his eyes filled with sadness as he saw Hinata upset by the thought of something like that happening. Unless something saves the clan from itself before the implosion happens, Maleficent said with a small smile on her face and a plan forming that would hurt Konoha, the Hokage, and those traditionalist fools in the Hyuga clan. Yes. There's nothing like a little help from the outside to shake things up. If the Hokage, who had to know about this kind of barbarism in the Hyuga clan but didn't do anything about it even though there were laws against it, then maybe a daimyo from another country should. But not only her. Other countries would have to know about it and put enough pressure on the Hyuga so that they have no choice but to change. If they didn't react to change as gracefully and subtly as a soft feather, they would be forced to do so with the force of a battle mace. And if things got really bad, Maleficent was sure she could find a place for the Hyuga clan in Nami. For a price. Hinata Hyuga stood in front of her father and the elders of her clan. None of them were smiling. Of course, they never looked happy, so when she saw their faces, she wasn't too surprised. The fact that she didn't beat Neji in the Chunin exam preliminaries was a big part of why they were so upset, or at least more upset than usual. Even though Neji was a little bit older than her, it didn't matter. Even though Neji had more experience, it didn't matter. Have more faith. Wanting to fight. Even the fact that Neji was born a prodigy didn't make a difference. What mattered was that a branch family member beat a main family member, who was also the heiress, and this did not make them happy in the least. Sad to say, it was just a small thing that made them unhappy. The real problem was that she had been talking to the son of Yondaime and to Kyuubi Jinchuriki. They also didn't seem to like the idea that the boy's surrogate mother and the daimyo of Nami would heal Hinata. Even though Hinata got as far as she did, it didn't matter because they thought her team had done most of the work, and the fact that the girl lost to Neji in a one-on-one fight seemed to back up that idea. Since Naruto is the son of a daimyo, they wouldn't have minded if he was interested in Hinata. Even the fact that he was Yondaime's son was fine, even though Yondaime had been a seal master and was trying to get rid of the cage bird seal and replace it with a seal that all Hyuga clan members could wear. If the boy hadn't been a Jinchuriki, they would have told Hinata to date the blonde so that she could at least help the clan politically. They also didn't like the fact that the blonde's surrogate mother had what they thought were supernatural powers and could remove the cage bird seal with a flick of the wrist. This is unacceptable, Hiyashi-sama. He saved your daughter and she talked to him. You promised us that the Jinchuriki wouldn't remember her at all, said a clan elder with a scowl that made him look even older. I know. My faith in Inoichi's ability to change and erase memories was misplaced. Either that, or Maleficent was able to bring back the boy's memory of that day. Given the woman's power, I'm more likely to believe the latter, Hiyashi said, keeping his cold face on Hinata, who was keeping her head down as they talked. There is also the problem of your daughter losing to your nephew. When a main family member loses to a branch family member, it shows that the clan Hiyashi is weak. It will give the servants the courage to fight us and make them think we are not strong enough to fight them, said another elder, this time a woman, and it was clear that she liked being treated well by the branch family when she gave them orders. Agreed. Hinata has brought shame to the main family on multiple fronts and in public too. We need to make an example out of her, said a third Hyuga elder, who was giving Hinata a very hard look. I know, elder. My daughter's loss to Neji has brought shame to the clan, and I'm sure she knows it as well. Hinata, the clan has decided that you will be moved to the branch family and branded with the cage bird seal. You will become a member of the lowest branch and will have to serve the other branch family members as if they were main family members, said Hiyashi, as Hinata tried not to cry. Hinata said, I understand, father, in a whisper, while Hiyashi frowned even more. As of right now, I am not your father. No daughter of mine that I call my own is weak. I will not accept someone of my blood being so pitifully weak, so I have decided to deny any bloodline connection to you. You will no longer be considered my daughter, and you will not be able to call me father. If you do either of those things, you will be severely punished, Hiyashi said coldly, as Hinata's eyes began to tear up. As much as we would like to brand you with the cage bird seal now, we can't because the Chunin exam finals are coming up in less than a month. With that witch of a woman hanging around with her powers, we can't have any interference with the removal of the cage bird seal. Not only that, but the month before the Chunin exam finals is when foreign merchants, tourists, visitors, nobles, daimyos from other lands, and potential see. I understand, said Hinata, even though she knew this last month would be the last time she could be herself before the invisible bonds of the branch family wrapped around her. Only Hinata thought that her chains would be much tighter, maybe so tight that she would die. Something she might have been thinking about all along if she lost to Neji. It made a voice in her head say that they had gotten the preliminaries to make them fight and decide if they had enough evidence to send the girl to the lowest branch family in the clan. You may leave. The news of your impending life as a branch family member will be kept quiet until after the Chunin exams are over. We don't expect the news to leave the clan, but it has happened before, and I will not let this piece of information get out. You are not allowed to tell your sensei, your teammates, any friends outside the clan, and especially the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. If they did this when the Hokage was at his best, it would cause problems on many fronts, but since the Sandaime Hokage was old and rumor had it that he was going to retire soon, they thought they could take a chance. Not surprising, since the old man's anger wasn't that big to begin with. At most, the Hyuga clan head would get a small lecture for putting the seal on the girl without telling him until after it was done. Then, he would probably give Hinata a friendly, sad smile before sending them both away and signing some more important paperwork about running the village day to day. Hinata could only bow to her former father at this point, leave the room, and go to her own to cry silently about how unfair everything was. I have to get away. I have to leave the clan. How then? How? If I try to leave Konoha, I will be chased. Because of my eyes, Kumo will come after me. Hinata thought, the hunter nin from this village will bring me back, and there's no guarantee that the next Hokage will help me or even understand what I did if I leave. She knew that her options were as few as they were bad. She was stuck. She was already in a cage before the seal was put on it. Who did she think she was? From the moment she was born, she was in the cage. Just that it didn't end until now. Only the seal, which would be the lock, was left. Naruto is there. Maleficent asked, is something wrong, my son? When she saw him eating his meal in the dining room, then stopped for a second and see a sudden frown on his face. I don't know, Ka-san. All of a sudden, I had a strong urge to kill a lot of Hyuga clan members, Naruto said, while his right hand shook slightly, as if it was trying to grab his trusted sword, which was hidden in his left arm, and cut through the first cocky adult Hyuga he saw. Maleficent asked, does this have anything to do with that Hyuga girl, Hinata, wasn't it? Naruto's right hand was shaking more and more, so he made it into a fist and told it to stop. Considering what we found out after she lost to Hyuga Neji, it's a good chance, said Haku, and Naruto nodded in agreement. Neji did say something about that before she went to see Tsunade, Naruto said, wishing that his first friend was okay and that he wasn't just having an uncontrollable fit of anger. Yes, I remember what he said, too. This is something we need to look into, Maleficent said as she looked at Anko, who nodded silently since that was her job. As soon as it got dark, Haku went to Naruto's room and knocked before going in. She saw that her master was not there. Or, more accurately, he was in the bathroom, which had been changed at his request and now had its own hot spring bathing area. Haku could tell that her master was in the hot springs area and trying to wash away the stress that had been bothering him since he came back from the Forest of Death. After what had happened, it wasn't a big surprise. Most of the Rookie 9 from Konoha had made it to the finals of the Chunin exam. 2/3 of Team 7, 1/3 of Team 10, which was led by Maeda Guy, and 1/3 of Team 8 made it to the finals. Suna and the boy from Sound with bandages on his face and gauntlets on his arms could say the same thing. As things stood, the matches would show that most of the Chunin exams participants were from Konoha, and only a few were from other camps. Since Konoha was hosting the Chunin exams, it's not surprising that they were the ones who easily won because they were on their own turf. But Haku's master wasn't upset about that. No. What bothered her master was that Hyuga Hinata, who had been his first friend before the Sandaime's betrayal made him forget her, had been badly hurt and almost killed by her own cousin. Haku knew that her master was a kind person who wouldn't let anyone hurt the people he cared about, and she thought that was a very charming trait. Haku asked, Naruto-sama, can I come in? As she lightly knocked on the door to the bathroom, even though it was partly open and steam was coming out. Yes, Haku, Naruto said from inside the bathroom as he washed off in the hot spring. Haku didn't see any reason not to do what he was told, so he went into the big bathroom, hot spring, and saw that the room itself was pretty big. She had wondered how Maleficent was able to make this room into such a place when it was on the second floor of this house. Given how chakra, seals, and a little creativity work, it was possible in theory for something like this to happen. Maleficent didn't have to follow normal rules, and she had magical powers and skills that matched the amount of power she controlled. This made Haku wish she had been there when it happened. Haku walked further into the hot spring area and saw Naruto sitting naked in the water with a towel close by for when he was done. Since she became part of his family, it wasn't the first time she had seen him like this. Haku had seen the blonde naked in the hot springs in Nami, back when he was Naruto's bodyguard and servant. The sight of him made the girl turn a few shades of red. Maleficent had been there, not too far from him at the time. She, too, liked how wonderful the hot springs made her feel, and she watched Haku with a hint of amusement as he hung out with Naruto in this way. At first, the blonde boy was a little worried about being completely naked in front of Haku that day. Not surprising, since he would be going through puberty in a few years, if not sooner if things kept going the way they were, but Maleficent told them that this kind of thing happened often in royal baths in her time. She went on to say that a prince or noble with a royal bath at home would often be naked in this way, and that they were very comfortable with it, even if most of the girls around them were servants. It didn't matter that they were all in a hot spring instead of a royal bathtub on the side of a hot spring, like in her time. Haku quietly took off her own clothes and started helping Naruto wash himself. She was trying not to blush when she saw her master naked in the hot springs. One of the many things they had done to her since she was forced into service, and it still took her a while to get used to the idea of doing something like that to someone else. Naruto had been polite because he didn't want her to do or receive anything that the two of them thought was wrong. Maleficent thought it was funny because young male nobles in royalty who were in that stage of their lives or were about to be in that stage had let things like that happen in the past. Maleficent found it funny that people of noble and royal blood acted so prim and proper in front of other people at court, even though they didn't really mean it. Even though they acted like it was beneath them, they had been experimenting with the servant girls, who may or may not become the mistress of the house in the future, and having fun when the wife wasn't around to do it. At least with Naruto and Haku, the woman knew they wouldn't touch in those places for now because they didn't want their relationship to get to that point. The Dark Witch knew it could happen, but she didn't know when. It would depend on Naruto's personality and how he felt about women's bodies. "You seem to be more tense than usual today, Naruto-sama," said Haku as he washed his back. Haku could feel how his muscles were tighter in different places because of stress. "I was just thinking about how the Chunin exam preliminaries would end and what it would mean for those who lost," Naruto said calmly as Haku used her magic fingers to work out all the tension in his back. Haku said, like Hinata-sama of the Hyuga clan, and she saw Naruto nod, so she knew he was thinking about the girl. "Neji's words and what he said to my mother keep going over and over in my head, and I can't get rid of them," Naruto said. Haku frowned for a second. It is said that the Hyuga clan has very strict rules and expectations about how they do things. With Hinata-sama being in the main family and the heiress to the clan, it is a big responsibility that I doubt she can handle on her own, especially since she hasn't gotten any help from any other clan member, Haku said as Naruto frowned even more. "A strong clan head who can stand on his own is fine, but one who has the support and strength of the rest of the clan is even better. To be thrown into the water at such a young age and forced to sink or swim on your own is cruel." Haku asked Naruto, "What will you do? Even though you are the son of the Yondaime and the surrogate son of a daimyo, you have no right to get involved in the Hyuga clan's business," as Naruto thought about his few choices. "Nothing, Haku. At least for now. I think there is more to the story of how the cage bird seal was made. It is old and clearly the work of a seal master, but few clans use seals and none of them have ever used such a seal on their own clans except the Hyuga clan. The only thing I can think of is that the cage bird seal was made by the Uzumaki clan before the shinobi village was built." "Are you sure, Naruto-sama? I know your clan is good at fuinjutsu, but I don't think they made the cage bird seal," said Haku, as Naruto let out a sigh of relief after a knot in his back was fixed while she helped him bathe. "Maybe not the one being used now, but I think the Uzumaki clan did make it, or at least a version of the seal meant to be worn by all members of the Hyuga clan," said Naruto. "I need to look into the family library and look into the history of seals to see if there is anything remotely similar." "What will you do if you can prove that they did?" Haku asked, leaning over to get a better look at his face. And saw him smile with a wicked, if not devilish, grin. "I'm going to use it as a way to get into this clan business that the Hyuga like to hide behind. I'm going to use it to destroy what little support they have on the issue and send their world into chaos," Naruto said with a smile that never left his face. "Maleficent. 2 weeks later. The woman with horns was very suspicious of the animal summons in front of her. 2 old toads came here without Jiraiya of the Sanin's knowledge, or so they said when they approached her. They wanted to talk to her. Even though they told Maleficent that summons sometimes work that way, she didn't believe them. Most of the time, they are used to find a new summoner when the current one is too old or dead and no one has been chosen to take over. Still, it had been a while since Maleficent had talked to an animal that could talk, so she decided to enjoy this moment and at least find out what Jiraiya was up to with the Sandaime and their plans to take her son. From what you've told me, your choice of summoners leaves a lot to be desired. Jiraiya hasn't done much to deserve being your summoner, and keeping him around despite his lack of skill just shows how desperate your clan is to have one, Maleficent said as she saw Shima and Fukasaku, 2 elder toads, wince at her words because she was right. That was right. Jiraiya didn't do much to deserve to be their summoner. The man had more bad things about him than good things. Some of the words they use are lecher, pervert, lazy, good-for-nothing slacker, and liar. For each of these words, they give a lot of examples. The best part of his life was learning almost all of Sen and Moto and making Namikaze Minato his apprentice so that he could become Hokage and the next Toad clan summoner. When Minato died after he sealed the Kyuubi inside Naruto, Jiraiya told the Toads that Naruto would be safe inside Konoha's walls and would become as strong as his father. Jiraiya told them that Naruto had been taken by a horned woman with a lot of power, but he didn't say that Maleficent had taken Naruto to protect him from the bad people in the village or that Naruto had been through a lot of pain as a child in Konoha. He didn't tell Shima or Fukasaku that Maleficent raised the boy as her own son, and that the blonde liked the woman. When things had calmed down after the meeting with the Fire Daimyo, the whole Toad clan decided to talk to Jiraiya and find out what was going on. Stop telling half-truths. Stop lying. Don't lie anymore. They put a seal on the ground and put Jiraiya in it so that the gravity around the man would increase 10 times for every lie, half-truth, or refusal to answer any question. When Jiraiya lied twice, told half the truth once, and refused to answer 3 times, the point was made very quickly. The only reason the man didn't die was because he reluctantly told the truth about his crimes before they happened so that the severity of the punishment would be lessened. After the Yondaime died, we didn't have much of a choice, Maleficent-sama. Orochimaru had gone bad, with most of his summons supporting him because of their boss summons Manda, and Jiraiya wanted us to help him protect Konoha. The man has his faults, but we couldn't get rid of him because of the rising threat to the village he and Minato loved. Plus, Naruto was there, and Jiraiya. I guess that makes sense. You didn't have many choices, Maleficent said in the end, since what they said was true because Jiraiya did have the power to choose who could see the Toad summoning scroll and sign it. Fukasaku said, we want to make up with Naruto. Let him sign our contract. As soon as he does, we'll take Jiraiya off the contract and give you the summoning scroll as a sign of our trust. Maleficent raised an eyebrow at the offer. Interesting. But why my son? Aren't there other worthy candidates in this world? Asked Maleficent, while Shima and Fukasaku looked nervously at each other. Maybe, but your son. Minato's son has the most potential, and we only want the best people to be our summoners, the most worthy, if you will. We also think Naruto could one day become a real Toad sage, not just what Jiraiya pretended to be for years to get a woman's attention, Fukasaku said, with the horned woman looking interested in the idea of such a thing happening to her son. How do you plan to get Jiraiya to sign Naruto's summoning contract? He's an idiot, but he's not blind, Maleficent asked, Shima and Fukasaku grinning because they had known Jiraiya since he was a child looking for fame, glory, and the love of a certain slug princess who would not love him back no matter how hard he tried. Leave that to us. Jiraiya still thinks Naruto is naive in the ways of the world, even though he has shown power and skill so far. He thinks that with the right show, he can get Naruto to join him. All we have to do is tell him that the best way to do that is to call us and get the tadpole to sign the scroll, said Shima, knowing that once Naruto signed it, they could get rid of. Very well. I will help you knock the fool down another level. He deserves it for hurting and manipulating my son over some vague prophecy. However, if this is a plan to capture my son, or if you betray my trust in this matter, I will not be so kind to you or your clan. Do we understand each other? Maleficent said as her power swirled around the 2 toads, who bowed low with their heads touching the ground and shiver. Shima and Fukasaku both said at the same time, yes, Maleficent-sama. We understand. They were clearly scared of what this woman would do to them if they did turn on her. leave me alone. Tell your clan about this, but tell them to keep it secret. I won't let Jiraiya find out about it from one of your younger, less experienced members, Maleficent said as she watched the two nod and, poof, back to their mountain. If everything went well, any plan Jiraiya made after Naruto beat Hatake Kakashi would fail. At the moment, Naruto is on the streets of Konoha. Naruto was very upset. I'm mad. Reed was about to blow up if he hadn't been training to keep his temper in check. Why did he get mad? There are two. First, he used the family library to find out that the cage bird seal did come from the Uzumaki clan. Of course, it wasn't even called the cage bird seal back then. The records in the house, which were probably saved right before Whirlpool fell, proved that the Hyuga clan joined the Uzumaki clan many years ago, before the shinobi villages were made. When the fighting between clans was at its worst, the Hyuga clan worried that its members' eyes would be taken after they were killed. During that time, thieves tried several times, and each time was more successful than the last. However, they were not able to figure out what those eyes were hiding. In order to keep their dojutsu safe, the clan went to see the Uzumaki clan, told them what was going on, and asked for a seal to keep it from being stolen again. The Uzumaki clan agreed because they thought the reason was good, and they made it for them so that it wouldn't be used for anything else. The Hyuga clan agreed and signed a binding contract with their clan symbol on it. Soon after, they were given the Dojutsu protection seal. The Uzumaki clan told them that they could put the seal on the forehead above the eyes or on the back of the neck at the base of the head. The Uzumaki clan told the Hyuga clan that the neck was the best place to hide the seal because the Hyuga let their hair grow past their necks so no one could see it. Even if they told the Hyuga clan where to put it, they didn't listen. In fact, as soon as the Hyuga clan figured out how to change the Dojutsu protection seal, they did it in secret and tricked those who really wanted to protect the Byakugan. By giving the branch family of the Hyuga clan the cage bird seal, which had been changed and given a new name. So that the Uzumaki clan would never find out that the agreement had been broken, the clan moved around for years, never staying in one place for more than a few months. They finally settled in Konoha when other shinobi villages started to appear and it was no longer safe for a traveling clan. They were surprised to learn that the Uzumaki clan, along with the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan, had helped build Konoha. When Hashirama first became Hokage, the first political problem he had to deal with was the leak of information about the changed seal in Konoha. All of this happened before Madara went crazy and left the village he had helped build. The Uzumaki Mito showed the Hyuga clan's signed contract, the differences between the Dojutsu protection seal and the cage bird seal, and how the pain receivers on the cage bird seal were added to make those who wore it obey. The Hyuga clan said that once the seal was theirs, they could change it however they wanted and that the Uzumaki clan had no right to ask for anything, even though they had signed a contract. Of course, it didn't help that the Hyuga clan had spent so much time in the elemental countries building up political power for just this kind of situation. So, Hashirama called a vote among the clans there and himself as the current Hokage to try to make peace between the two sides. Sad for the Uzumaki clan, the Hyuga clan won because Uchiha Madara, who was going crazy at the time and voted against Hashirama, gave the Hyuga clan a single vote. The Hyuga clan got to keep their cage bird seal, but they lost because the issue could be brought up again in the future if the Uzumaki clan or another clan wanted to do so with enough support for the whole village to get involved. It was one of the main reasons why Tobirama had said that the Uchiha clan, especially Uchiha Madara, shouldn't be trusted. The master of water jutsus thought that Madara would destroy everything they had worked together to build if his brother died soon and the Uchiha became the next Hokage. If you were as strong as Madara and voted for the cage bird seal to be used by the Hyuga clan, you were just asking for trouble. The second thing that made Naruto mad? Anko had sneaked into the Hyuga clan home and found out that Hinata was going to become a member of the branch family. That as soon as the Chunin exams were over, the Hyuga clan would brand the girl with the cage bird seal and make her life a living hell. What were they thinking? How could they have let someone like Hinata go? How could a girl who wanted to bring the clan together instead of tearing it apart be treated in such a horrible and cruel way? It made me angry. When Naruto saw the girl in question on the streets of Konoha, she looked so dead that it stopped him from thinking about the situation. She was looking around the village, seeing things that had always interested her and that she liked. She had a sad smile on her face and sometimes had to fight back tears. Naruto knew that Hinata was doing this because she knew that such things would be denied, to put it mildly. Hinata thought she was about to die, so she just wanted to look at everything around her before she went to her new hell. Hinata-chan. Naruto said after moving behind her and scaring her out of whatever she was thinking. Hinata whispered, "And Naruto-kun. It's good to see you again," as she pressed her fingers together and looked nervous, happy, and sad at the same time. "And you, Hinata-chan. How are things? You looked pretty sad just a few seconds ago," Naruto asked Hinata, who was looking down and knew full well what her now ex-father had said. Hinata whispered, I can't tell you," which made Naruto frown. "Is it because you lost to Neji?" Naruto asked Hinata. She nodded, since that didn't tell him anything about what was going on with her clan. Hinata said, "Yes," while Naruto nodded and leaned in to whisper something in her ear. Hinata's eyes grew wide as Naruto said, "I know what happened at your house after you came back from the central tower in the Forest of Death, and I know what they plan to do once the Chunin exams are over." Hinata asked, "How?" As Naruto smiled. "Not here, Hinata-chan. There are too many eyes and ears around us. Let's talk somewhere else where we can have a private conversation," Naruto said, sending a dark look to an Anbu officer who was watching him on the Sandaime Hokage's orders and was standing nearby. Since he didn't think Naruto would notice, the Anbu in question stiffened and bit back a curse. No matter what they were going to talk about, the Anbu knew he wouldn't be able to hear it and wouldn't be able to tell the Sandaime about it. The last day of the Chunin exam. The Sandaime Hokage stood in the arena in front of the people. The weather was great for the Chunin exams. It was a bright, sunny day. The Kazekage was sitting in his chair to his left, just a few feet behind the Hokage. The man in the veil was here to see how his children were getting better at being ninjas and to show potential clients what Suna could be like in the future. There were a lot of genin on the floor of the arena. They were trying to become possible Chunin and show how strong their village was here today. Most of them were from Konoha, so it didn't really matter if they won or lost, and the Sandaime knew that. Konoha was still known for making strong ninja, after all. But that didn't mean it wouldn't help to see this year's genin from the village work even harder to improve their village's reputation. Welcome to the Chunin exams. On this happy day, we're all here to see these genin prove they deserve the title of Chunin. To show their strength from their respected shinobi villages and their future potential as ninja of the world," said the Sandaime as the crowd cheered and many people looked forward to the exhibition match that was going to happen before the fights. How sad for Sarutobi-sensei. If only he had known what was going to happen today. Orochimaru, who was pretending to be the Kazekage, thought to himself, "I almost wish I could tell him, but I'm the one planning the attack on Konoha, so I can't." He had a smile on his face, which was hidden by the veil he wore. However, before the Chunin exam finals can start, we have a very special exhibition match set up for you all to see. As many of you know, the Yondaime Hokage's son is here today, and he just became a ninja after graduating from the Konoha Academy, Hiruzen said, while the crowd had mixed feelings and a woman in the section for daimyos and nobles narrowed her eyes at him. Smart monkey. Without actually saying it, you were giving the impression that the boy is a ninja who works for you. No big deal. I've already told the other nobles and daimyos in this village that my son is a ninja from the Uzumaki clan and not from this village. Maleficent thought to herself as she watched the Hokage from her seat. If they can't see the truth in what you say, then they're all stupid and shouldn't be running their countries. Mother, is it wise for me to be here? Gaara whispered to the woman as he sat next to her. He was carefully disguised with the woman's magic, and Hyuga and Karen were also there. Of course, my child. You are my son, just like Naruto. You should be here, even if just to cheer for your brother in his match against Hitaki Kakashi. He would do the same for you, Maleficent said, and Gaara nodded in agreement. Hyuga yelled angrily, if any of these jerks from Konoha do anything while we are here, I will unleash so much hell on them. Karen sighed. Language, Hyuga, said Karen. We don't want to draw unwanted attention to ourselves. Hyuga grumbled because she was only allowed to use a few curse words. My word still stands, Hyuga whispered as Maleficent gave a small smile. Maleficent said to Anko in her snake form, have patience, my child. Good things come to those who wait. She then turned her attention to the Sandaime Hokage when the noise from the crowd died down. In this exhibition match, the son of the Yondaime Hokage wants to show off his skills against Hitaki Kakashi, his father's last remaining student, said Hiruzen. The crowd, mostly made up of people from Konoha, cheered because they thought Kakashi would beat the blonde. They also knew about the bet, and when Kakashi won, they knew the boy would be their punching bag again. Why else would the Hokage and Jiraiya of the Sannin try so hard to bring the boy back to the village if not to help the people here get rid of their anger by lashing out at the source of their pain? I'm sorry, Naruto, but I won't hold back on you in this match, Kakashi said as the genin went up to the booth where they would wait for their match. I don't expect you to. If you did, it would be bad on your part, and the Sandame would be mad at his plans to make me throw this stupid village's personal weapon out the window, Naruto said as Kakashi frowned slightly. Konoha is your home, Naruto. It was your father's home, too, said Kakashi as he got ready to fight, but he kept his Sharingan hidden because he might need it later and had to save his chakra. And the people have done a good job of remembering my father. How many times have people here tried to kill me, his own son? Naruto asked as he took his sword out of its sheath and got ready to fight Kakashi. I know, but if you come back to Konoha on your own, they'll change their minds and how they see you, Kakashi said, and Naruto laughed meanly. No, Kakashi-san. They won't. If anything, they'll hate me even more because I'm his son. They don't care that I'm the son of the Yondaime Hokage. They'll hate me because they think it's disrespectful for my father to have a demon sealed inside of his only child. Have you heard the whispers? The talk in the local bars? The bloodlust they show when I walk down the street in public? Naruto said. Kakashi replied, they can still change Naruto if you just give them a chance. Naruto glared at Kakashi and shot the man a lot of killer intent. They will never change. Even now, some of them are hoping beyond hope that you will kill me in this match, Naruto told Genma, who was the referee for this fight. Genma looked at each fighter, sighed, and scratched the side of his head. Okay, you two. I assume you know the rules and terms of this match, which is good. Just to be clear, killing is not allowed here. Got it? Genma asked, and both Kakashi and Naruto nodded. Understood, Kakashi said when he saw Naruto smile. I know, but that doesn't stop me from cutting off one or two of his limbs, Naruto said, his smile hidden by the bandages. Momochi Zabuza would say something like that. If the rumors about what Maleficent did are true, then... Oh crap. Just as Genma put his hand down to start the match, Kakashi had that thought. Time to stain this arena with your blood and guts, Naruto muttered before using the hidden mist jutsu. His huge chakra reserves made up for the lack of water around him. It didn't hurt that the chakra used made it thicker than usual. Damn that. My eyes can't see anything here. Even if I used the Sharingan, I wouldn't be able to see anything but shadows and mind tricks in front of me, Kakashi thought as he pulled out a pair of kunai. Naruto said, so many ways to cut you up, so little time. Oh, how can I cut the ways into your flesh? His voice echoed through the arena, and his evil laugh made many people shiver in fear. Simple, Kakashi. Don't trust what you see. No, not in this fog. Use your other senses, Kakashi thought before he felt someone behind him and blocked the sword with both kunai. Good job, Hitaki-sama. You stopped my surprise attack. But there's something else you should know about me, Naruto said as he saw Kakashi's legs buckling a little from the pressure of the sword trying to cut through him. Oh, and what's that? Kakashi asked just before his side started hurting a lot. Because someone had used a sword to cut into it. I can be in two places at once. Said a second Naruto, who was standing to Kakashi's right with a tanto and watching the man's side bleed slightly. And literally turning the mist red. From the seats. A literal bloody mist? Kurenai asked with a frown, wondering what had happened in the mist to make it turn red. Asuma said, that's interesting. I wonder how Naruto did it, but I have a theory, and it's not one you're going to like. He already had a guess about how it happened. I can smell it from here. That blood is Kakashi-san's blood, said Sum, who was nearby with her daughter Hana. Hana was confused and said, I still don't understand how the mist could turn red or what it would do. It's smart. The mist itself blinds the person, making their eyes useless no matter if they have a dojutsu or not. A ninja facing the hidden mist jutsu has to rely on their other senses. Hearing, smelling, touching, and even tasting if it comes down to it. But this Gaki can throw his voice all over the place. And because blood is a liquid, he used Kakashi's blood to make the Miz. Even though she had one of the best noses around, it would have thrown her off. It's not that smart, Kiba muttered as he heard the sound of metal hitting metal, someone grunt in pain, and a small amount of blood rise. Naruto got in another clear hit. It's really scary. It sounds like a bloody mist, Hana said as she winced at the sound of an arm breaking. He's a monster, so of course he's going to be scary, said Kiba, before his mother smacked him on the back of the head. Don't you dare say that. That boy went through a lot in Konoha. If the Hokage hadn't stopped me, I would have taken him into the clan, said Sum, while Hana and Kiba looked shocked. Hana asked her mother, you were going to adopt him, right? Her mother nodded. I had planned on it. I think the boy was about 4 when I asked. Hiruzen said no. He said that if one clan watched over the boy, that clan would have too much power and influence over the boy. He had to keep Naruto neutral toward everyone and each clan in Konoha. He couldn't have any favorites, he said, Sum said angrily. That makes sense, said Kiba. Then, when his mother glared at him, he whimpered. It was all nonsense. If the Sandaime had even told half the truth about the nonsense he did, the villagers wouldn't have touched him as a child, and he wouldn't have had a chance to have a normal childhood, said Sum, who remembered when Naruto was beaten up badly and she helped him get to the hospital twice. She had to use her power as clan head to get them to heal the child when she was there, and even then, Sum thought they stopped helping the child once she left. Hana asked, did any of the other clans try to adopt Naruto? Sure did. Yamanaka clan. The Akamichi clan. Even Nara Shikaku tried at the behest of his wife in order to give the boy a descent home. He had a couple of lumps thanks to his wife for failing to convince Hiruzen to adopt Naruto, answered Sum since she recalled the meeting following Shikaku's failed attempt and the man had a nice tower of lumps on top of his head while mumbling on about troublesome wives and their damn maternal instincts when asked about them. Kiba asked Sum, what about Shino's dad? Didn't his clan try? Sum thought for a moment. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I think they wanted to since they didn't hate the boy for having the Kyuubi. But since most people already didn't like the Aburame because of their powers, I think they didn't adopt him because they were afraid it would make things worse. Not for them, of course, but for Naruto, who would be hated even more if he was adopted into a clan that most people thought was creepy from the start. Kiba asked, what about the Uchiha clan or the Hyuga? As Sum laughed. Maybe the Hyuga clan at one point. I know Hiyashi's wife liked the Gaki, but from what I've heard, Hiyashi doesn't, so it's hard to say how much influence she had on the clan head. As for the Uchiha, I know they were against the boy from the start, even joining those who wanted the Uzumaki clan erased from Konoha's records so Naruto wouldn't know about our long-lost allies from Wur. Most Uchiha did this. Or do a Uchiha. Some people, like the first 2 Hokages and Senju Tsunade of the Sannin, talked about the Senju clan, but that was mostly it. Hana asked, why would the Uchiha clan do that? As Sum laughed. Because they were always jealous of the Senju clan and the Uzumaki clan. Not many people know this, but the Senju clan and the Uzumaki clan are cousin clans. This means that the Uchiha, Senju, and Uzumaki clans are all related to each other in some way, said Sum, whose children looked shocked. Wow. So, besides Naruto's connection to the Yondaime, his bloodline could possibly go back to the time when all 3 clans came from one person? Asked Hana, since she knew that when clans were related to each other, it was because one person had had multiple children, and those children had had children of their own. Yep. And the funny thing about all 3 clans, if the rumors are true, is that they are said to be descended from the Sage of 6 Paths himself, Sum said. Hana and Kiba looked shocked by this news. You sure? All 3 of them? Asked Hana, and Sum gave a nod. Yep. Since many years ago, the Uchiha clan has been very firm about it, saying that his eldest child is a direct descendant of the Sage of 6 Paths. At the same time, the Senju clan can say they are related to the youngest, and since the Senju clan and the Uzumaki clan are cousin clans, the Uzumaki clan can say they are too, said Sum. Hana's jaw dropped and Kiba looked like he was about to pass out from shock. Hana whispered to Sum that is one hell of a family tree. Damn right, it's true. It's a shame that Konoha doesn't seem to value it as much as it used to. No longer, Sum said in a sad voice. Right now, with Naruto and Kakashi. Kakashi was breathing heavily, holding his side with one bruised arm where Naruto, or was it his shadow clone, had hit him through the mist, and letting the other arm, which was currently broken, dangle lifelessly to the side. The other arm was broken when the blonde had hit it with the flat side of his Kabikirabocho. The man had greatly underestimated his opponent and silently cursed himself for not even possibly expecting or suspecting Suki. Hell, it shouldn't be a surprise since Kushina, the boy's own mother, was the same way, and look how dangerous she turned out to be. Naruto was in control from the start, his purpose as clear as the blades he was using. The Chunin was not expecting Naruto to use the hidden mist jutsu or the shadow clone jutsu to attack from multiple sides. The boy had a clear plan and was making the most of it. If Kakashi was the boy's Chunin sensei, he would be proud of Naruto for being so skilled and dangerous and for having a clear plan for this fight. In a way, Kakashi was proud of Naruto even now, even though he wasn't the one in charge. Using the hidden mist jutsu to stop him from using his Sharingan. Using shadow clones to attack from many directions. Using the blood from the opponent's wounds to turn the mist red and hide his scent, so Kakashi or his dog summons wouldn't work. Kakashi also realized that if Naruto had used his own blood on the mist, it would have worked too, because the boy's scent would have spread over the arena, making any dog called to fight him useless. Yes, Kakashi was very proud of Naruto's ninja skills right now. Even though the man was in a lot of pain and bled a lot, he was still proud. What do you think, Kakashi? The battle is over. I will come out on top. I'm going to Nami to stay with my mother. I'll have my own future, and there's nothing you can do to stop me, Naruto said through the bloody mist. Yes. You can count on me. So why not get it done? Kakashi asked Naruto while trying to buy time so he could come up with a plan. What would be fun about that? Naruto asked with a laugh. Didn't your mom ever tell you not to play with your food? Because it looks like this is one of those times, Kakashi said as he gathered his chakra in his body to send it into his arm for a move he never thought would be used against this person. She showed me a lot of things. Not like Konoha, Naruto said, his voice full of anger. I get it. I know, Naruto, and I'm sorry. So are we all, Kakashi said, but he decided to play on the boy's anger about the situation. Liar. Kakashi-san, I can always tell when someone is lying. I can almost feel all of the bad feelings in the whole stadium being focused on me. Even now, everyone in Konoha who is watching this fight is getting more angry because you haven't won yet. They want me to fail. They want me to get hurt. It's broken. They want me to die at your feet or to be dead. Naruto exclaimed. He could tell Kakashi was up to something by the way he was gathering his chakra and splitting the mist around him. The Hokage does not want you to die or be killed. He wants you to have a good life. To stay here and get to know people. To make friends, Kakashi replied, but then he felt a killer behind him and knew that was where Naruto was hiding. You don't know. The Sandaime Hokage only wants me to be the personal weapon of this village. He wants me to stay in Konoha and protect this rude village full of rude people. Naruto yelled as he moved in for the kill, even though killing was against the rules for this match. Kakashi saw his chance to act and use Naruto's anger against him. He dodged the swing of the huge sword and flared his chakra to the max. This blew away the bloody mist around him, revealing Naruto's back, which was now open to an attack. Kakashi knew he could attack the boy now. He planned to aim for a crippling blow on either side of Naruto's lower back with the jutsu he planned to use. So why did he hesitate now? What was he waiting for? Why was the blonde's back still open for him to attack? Why didn't Naruto turn around to face him? What was the boy waiting for? As for Naruto, he was mad at himself for letting his anger get the best of him and cursed the fact that his wounds from this village left such a deep scar. The fact that Momochi Zabuza's demon-like spirit added fuel to the fire didn't help either. The boy had tried to keep his anger in check. He had trained with Haku to do so. He had trained hard, and for the most part, he had done well. But scars can still show pain if they are poked hard enough. It depends on how hard and how much pressure someone pokes at them to get the right reaction. When the boy looked at his mother, she had a slight frown on her face, which told him she was thinking the same thing. He was surprised that she didn't look disappointed, as he thought she would. Instead, she had a look in her eyes that said she understood and that they needed to talk about this later. In Maleficent's case, your son hurt Hitaki Kakashi very badly without even getting hurt himself. That's a lot. It's not easy to do something like that, said the fire daimyo, who had heard about Kakashi's fighting skills in the last war and how he was also the Yondaime Hokage's student. This boy has a temper problem with this village, no matter how impressive he is, said the earth daimyo, who had only come to Konoha to watch the match between the two as a show. You would too if you were treated like a monster from the start of your childhood, Maleficent told the feudal lord as she looked at him with narrowed eyes. She is right. I've heard that my Mizukage in Kiri is a lot like Naruto-san in that he was abused when he was young. The man started a civil war based on bloodlines and is killing off many clans in my country that are based on bloodlines. The only reason I haven't sent in my own forces is because Hyuga could easily beat them, and I don't want him to try to use his power to take my throne from me, said the water daimyo, who was curious about how Maleficent had kept her adopted son, a Jinchuriki, from going on a power-fueled rampage. It only shows that a Jinchuriki should be handled better. The Earth daimyo said, controlled with better, stronger chains, and Maleficent narrowed his eyes at him. Earth daimyo, you've never had the pleasure of being ruled over, have you? Maleficent was asked a question while the Earth daimyo looked at her like she was crazy. Obviously not. I run a country as a daimyo. We don't get pushed around by other people. We come from a noble family, said the Earth daimyo, to which Maleficent laughed. What if your country was taken over? Who beat your armies? A powerful enemy sacked your capital and palace? An enemy who is in charge of your life. The Earth daimyo narrowed his eyes and asked Maleficent a question. The Earth daimyo asked the woman, are you threatening me, Maleficent-sama? When he saw her smile at him. Obviously not. I'm just telling the truth. You don't mind when other people are oppressed as long as you're not the one being oppressed. You have never had to go through what my son has. It is sickening to turn children into weapons of war like the Jinchuriki and then beat, hurt, and oppress them for your own purposes. Remember that if one of your children or your children's children becomes one far in the future, Maleficent said as she put a gentle hand on Gaara's shoulder and turned back to the match below. Naruto is there. Naruto saw that Kakashi had a jutsu in his hand. He didn't find it strange that the man was using it. The Sharingan eye was hidden by a headband that was pulled up with the one arm that couldn't reach past the elbow. The lightning in the Junin's other hand made a small blade-like extension, and Naruto knew right away what jutsu the man was going to use against him. The blonde knew a lot about the man thanks to Haku's spying and his own research into the man's past when it came to Kakashi's more dangerous jutsus. The only question left was whether or not Kakashi, with his injuries, would be able to give it his all. The man had one broken arm and several deep cuts along the sides. Bracing against each blow from the huge sword must have made his leg muscles hurt very badly. Don't forget. You only have one chance to beat me, Naruto said as he turned to face the man in front of him who was literally holding lightning in his hand. I haven't so far, Kakashi said, and then he charged at Naruto, aiming for the boy's side. Until today, Naruto thought as he closed his eyes and let the Kyuubi's chakra flow out of his body to throw the man back. From the seats. When did he first figure out how to use Kyuubi's power? We would have felt it when he was here, Kurenai asked in shock. I don't know. I think that maybe his surrogate mother had something to do with that. Asuma said as he lit one of his cigarettes, she seems strong enough to not only keep the boy in line, but I bet a pack of cigarettes that she can also hide Naruto's presence for private training to keep my old man out of the loop. Talking about the woman on the other side of us, have you noticed that this arena is missing one person? One who hangs out with Naruto-san or Maleficent-sama most of the time. Asked Kurenai, and Asuma and Guy both nodded. We agree. Where is our friend with the mask? Guy asked with a frown. With Haku in Hokage Tower. Such bad safety. I don't understand why Konoha is thought to be the strongest of the 5 major villages, Haku thought as she easily took out the guards with her usual senbon needles to the necks and went to the Hokage's office. Haku walked right in and found the hidden vault behind the pictures of the 4 Hokages that were hung on the wall. Maleficent told her that the Forbidden Scroll of Sealing was Naruto's inheritance because many of the secrets in it belonged to the Uzumaki clan. However, Konoha had been trying to make it look like these secrets were made by them. No one was going to argue with Konoha's claims because the Uzumaki clan was spread out all over the world and had no way to get back together, let alone find out all of their long-lost secrets. In fact, the only people who could say otherwise were dead, thought to be dead but still possibly hiding, or spread out across the elemental countries. No doubt, the people in charge in Konoha hoped that something would never change, and if they had their way, Naruto wouldn't know any better. Haku took out the magic orb that Maleficent had made for her to use only once and pressed it against the wall where the safe was. The wall disappeared, revealing an opening where the Forbidden Scroll of Sealing was. Haku took the scroll without much trouble and left the room. She went back to the Namikaze estates in secret to get the things she needed to pack before they went back to Nami. Naruto and Kakashi are there. Kakashi was completely shocked when he looked at Naruto and saw that the boy was being surrounded by Kyuubi's evil red chakra. He didn't think Naruto would use the Biju's chakra so soon, or even that the boy would be able to use it. Even though the blonde had shown signs of using it a month ago, Kakashi didn't think Naruto would be able to get better so quickly. The Anbu, the Chunin, and other teams of censor ninjas in Konoha should have been able to tell, right? Kakashi, what are you waiting for? The devil is in front of you. Now is the time. Run at me and seal my fate with your Rakiri. Naruto yelled as the head of a fox appeared over him and roared so loudly that it pushed Kakashi even farther away. Kakashi looked over at the Sandaime Hokage, who was watching everything from the cage booth above them. The old man was worried and afraid that the boy would win by using the Biju's awesome power. Jiraiya had planned to use seals to work on the problem after the fighting was over and Kakashi won the match. I have no other option. Now I have to use my jutsu against him. All I have to do is make sure my hand hits something serious, but not fatal by Uzumaki standards, Kakashi thought as he ran forward as fast as his body could go and used the Sharingan to see his target clearly. Naruto laughed at Kakashi because he knew the man had to use the Rakiri in his hand because he had spent so much time getting ready for it. The blonde knew that no matter how fast the Chunin was, he couldn't beat someone with the chakra of a Biju. The man just didn't know or wouldn't accept that he would miss his target. From the seats. That's incredible. Hinata whispered, the power he's making with Kyuubi's chakra is more than most Chunin could make in a lifetime. She was amazed by how determined the boy was. Hinata knew in her heart that Naruto wasn't going to lose the whole time she was watching. He was strong-willed, sure of himself, and sure that nothing could stop him from winning. When they talked in private 2 weeks ago, Hinata was shocked to learn that Naruto not only knew about her bad situation in the Hyuga clan, but that he also planned to end it or at least make a big dent in the clan's political power structure so that using the cage bird seal would be frowned upon. He didn't tell her the details of his plan because he didn't want the Hyuga clan to try to get it out of the girl if they asked what they talked about. But he did tell Hinata that no one would put the cage bird seal on her forehead, and that if necessary, desperate steps would be taken to make sure that didn't happen. When he told her that, the poor girl couldn't help but pass out. After that, Hinata spent as much time as she could away from her clan with Naruto, which made the Haku's girls angry in secret and made Maleficent laugh at the time, based on what Hinata could tell. Hinata wanted to know if Haku liked Naruto more than she said. Did the person who used ice want to be more than a servant? More than a friend and confidant you can talk to when you need to? Hinata didn't know for sure, but Maleficent gave the Hyuga girl hints that since Naruto was the last known male of the clan, it was the blonde's job to increase the clan's numbers, and that it would take a certain number of loving, strong women to make that happen. Again, Hinata couldn't help but pass out when she thought about what Maleficent's words meant. The boy will not win. Hitaki Kakashi is said to have been trained by the Yondaime Hokage himself, and the Sharingan he uses gives him an advantage that not even a Jinchuriki can beat, Hiashi said with a scowl. He hated the Sharingan just as much as he hated the Uchiha clan, but in this case, he would help one entity with the dojutsu to get rid of another nuisance. Hiashi didn't care for the Uzumaki clan at all. He was not a fan of Kushina. When the Hyuga were setting up their clan in Konoha, she and the rest of her clan messed with their business. Even before Kushina, Uzumaki Mito seems to have made a big deal about the cage bird seal and wanted to get rid of it because it was cruel. How about cruel? No way. The cage bird seal did what the main family wanted it to do, and as a bonus, it kept those who wore it in line so they could help the clan's best blood. The weak did what the strong wanted. In the Hyuga clan, the weak were kept in line so they wouldn't be stupid and try to fight against the strong. The weak were punished for being disobedient, and the strong felt safe knowing that their servants would never rise up against them. It was just right. No. You're wrong, said Hinata, while Hiashi glared at his former daughter. Hiashi asked with narrowed eyes, what was that? He was surprised to see that the girl he had called his daughter was looking at the arena. Keep an eye on my old father. Or you'll miss it, Hinata said as she kept her eyes open and watched this important moment. What a rude child. You will be punished soon enough for not following Hyuga traditions, Hiashi thought as he looked at his youngest daughter Hanabi and saw that she was a lot like a Hyuga should be. Yes. His children were always loyal and showed promise, so it was still possible for him to have a true clan heiress who could take over after him. To think that the Hyuga clan's strength had skipped a generation and gone to the youngest member of his family instead of the oldest, as tradition had always required. Even now, Hinata's birth and life were a slap in the face to Hyuga traditions that say the oldest is the strongest. Why did Kami treat him so badly? Naruto and Kakashi are there. Even though he could follow Naruto's moves with his Sharingan eye, Kakashi knew that it wouldn't help him hit Naruto with his Rikiri. Not in the least. Naruto could move faster than ever before in his current state, and the Sharingan could only predict someone's movements up to a certain point, unless that person was faster than the eye. Still, in order to win this match, he had to try to hit the boy and hurt him. When the man charged him, Naruto wasn't just standing there. In fact, the boy ran toward Kakashi with his sword drawn, ready to kill the man. Even if killing was wrong in this fight, he didn't care. Naruto thought that his father's last remaining student had betrayed him because he was a dumb sheep who couldn't think for himself and just followed the shepherd. Kakashi never once thought that what was happening to his sensei's only son might not be a good idea. That the young boy's pain, suffering, and the fact that he was always alone were all wrong. That Konoha basically used a single boy as a personal punching bag before turning him into a weapon of war for the village was cruel in every way. The man should have asked why the Sandaime Hokage did what he did. In general about the village. Did Kakashi really do that? No. He just went along with it like a puppet that moved wherever the puppeteer pulled the strings. Just because of that, the man had to die. Which is what Naruto did when he used the Kabikirabocho to cut the man in half at the waist. He didn't hesitate. Only for the man he just cut in half to go, poof. And show that Hitaki Kakashi was actually a shadow clone. That's clever. Naruto thought with wide eyes that he must have done it while he had his back to him and there was still enough bloody mist to hide it from him. When he turned around, he saw that his attack had only killed a shadow clone. The real Kakashi jumped up from the ground with the Rikiri in his hand and thrust it into the boy's lower back, just to the right of the boy's spine. Kakashi said, "I'm sorry, Naruto, but it looks like I win the match," as Naruto groaned in pain. "Don't be so sure of that," Naruto said with a smile on his face. Then, with a puff of smoke and a poof sound, he showed that he was a shadow clone. What? A shadow duplicate? Kakashi was shocked before Naruto hit him in the head with the flat side of his sword. When did he have a chance to make one? The boy made a shadow clone in the red mist, just like Kakashi did, and hid underground while waiting for the right time to attack. Kakashi didn't know that the shadow clone in front of him was full of Kyuubi's chakra and could use it to make the man think the clone was the real thing. He didn't even know that Naruto knew he had made a shadow clone while he was gathering chakra to make the Rikiri in the bloody mist. The Chunin had tried to use the strong smell of his blood in the mist to hide the secondary smell of his clone gathering chakra to make its own Rikiri while the real man hid underground. When Kakashi, or more accurately, his shadow clone moved in for the kill, Naruto's chakra signature was hidden under theirs. The blonde boy waited for his shadow clone to kill Kakashi's clone, knowing that the man would show up to go in for the kill and give Naruto a chance to strike with the Kabikirabocho. The force of the swing knocked the shocked man out, and when the Chunin looked in the mirror without his mask, he saw a nasty bruise on his face. Genma shouted, "Winner, Uzumaki Naruto," when he saw Kakashi on the ground and not getting up after getting hit. From the seats. No one was willing to move or talk. No one could believe it. Naruto was the winner. He didn't lose, he won. A fight with Kakashi Hitaki. The last student of the Yondaime Hokage. A man who is known to have copied 1,000 jutsus. What could have caused this to happen? How could this boy beat a skilled Chunin who used to be the Yondaime Hokage's student, even though he was a Jinchuriki? How? He got the prize. In the end, the boy did win. Kurenai whispered in shock, "I don't believe it," while her fellow Chunin were also surprised that Naruto won this match. Yes, that's true. Naruto's physical strength and mental toughness are impressive, Guy said when he saw that Naruto was scowling at the Sandaime Hokage. He looked like he was waiting for the old Hokage to set a trap. The old man didn't let us down. At the moment, cage booth. The Hokage himself gave the boy a scowl. Not just because he beat Kakashi, but also because he messed up everything. It was so easy. Once Naruto was defeated, Jiraiya was supposed to make sure the boy was properly restrained while he healed from his wounds and have a Yamanaka use his or her skills to make the boy think of Konoha as his home. Once the mental training was done, the Hokage planned for the village to get its harsh and even cruel, but still necessary 10 pounds of flesh from Naruto, within reason, to keep the people happy. The Hokage would even use the abuse as part of his plan to get the boy to stay loyal to Konoha again. He would tell the blonde, who was still young and naive at the time, that if he stayed to defend the village from its enemies, he would prove that the people who thought he was a demon were wrong. Of course, he wouldn't tell Naruto that everyone already knew it and didn't care. They would still hate him, even if it was less than before. Many people would say it was cruel or even evil to do that to a young boy, but the Sandaime and Jiraiya thought it was necessary in the end. The prophecy that the eldest Toad told Jiraiya had to come true or at least be changed in a way that made Konoha win, no matter what happened in the end. It didn't matter about the other 4 ninja villages. Burn them up. All that mattered was that Konoha outlasted and outlived the competition, and the people who lived there wrote the history of the village. People who knew him and saw how he did things. This is why, when Whirlpool was falling and Sandaime was Hokage and they asked for help, he didn't do much to stop it. They didn't belong there. A group of islanders that is similar to the ninja and clans in Kiri, but not as big. The only reason the Sandaime let Mito and Kushina stay in Konoha was because Mito was useful and Kushina was needed to hold Kyuubi at the time. Hiruzen was sure that Kushina and Minato would have had more than one child if they hadn't died. This would have given a lot of people a chance to take Kushina's place as a host for the Biju. Not only that, but if Konoha had captured another Jinchuriki, they could have easily turned one of the other children into a Jinchuriki of those Biju. Things turned out the way they did, so the Hokage would never know if something like that would ever happen again. So, for now, he would have to focus on Naruto helping Konoha in that way, or at least until he found someone else with Uzumaki blood. This defiance has gone on long enough, thought Hiruzen before he told Jiraiya to go make his move. Jiraiya gave a nod. Ma and Pa had suggested that he meet the boy a week ago to get the Gaki to sign the contract. They said it would keep him close enough to Konoha that he could be called back without Maleficent getting in the way. A look back. Naruto asked Jiraiya-san, "What do you want, Jiraiya-san?" As he ate lunch with Haku in the park. It was a nice day where people could just relax and enjoy the day. What? Can't a man greet his one and only godson? Naruto gave Jiraiya a small frown as he asked. You no longer have that right. Legally, you just lost that right, Naruto said, then went back to eating while ignoring Jiraiya. Hurry up. I apologize. Okay? So I forgot about you for a while. What a deal. I had important business to take care of, which meant I had to travel a lot. I have to keep up with my spy network all the time. Keep Konoha safe. Gaki, you might not like it, but being an adult means you have to take on a lot of responsibilities, Jiraiya said angrily. That's true, but being an adult also means making time for the people you care about, no matter how busy you are. Also, I don't think you had to do what you say you had to do every day, month, and year while I was in Konoha. You could have gone to the village to see the old man, but you didn't. Instead, you went to the hot springs to watch women. I can't believe how loyal you were to my parents. Naruto said in a sarcastic tone at the end. Jiraiya asked Naruto, "Are you this cold with Tsunade?" Naruto surprised him by nodding. Yes, of course. If you think for a second that I'll like her or you soon, then your mind is getting older faster than your body, Naruto said, and Haku tried not to laugh at the jab at the Sannin. Jiraiya asked Naruto, who was frowning at him, even if I have something that your father could do but you can't right now? And what exactly are you referring to, Jiraiya-san? Naruto asked as Jiraiya smiled at the boy. Well, of course, calling. I just happened to have your father's signed Toad Clan contract, which let him call on the Toads to help him fight in a big battle. You've been doing a lot of things for your mother's side of the family, but what about your father? Jiraiya asked, shouldn't you try to learn something he was known for? Naruto frowned more and thought for a moment. I guess I shouldn't just learn the Rasengan. Naruto said, calling the Toads would be a good first step. Haku was carefully watching Jiraiya as the man's stupid grin grew. That's great. All you have to do is put your name on the contract with your own blood and make the right hand signs, which I'll show you after you put your name on it. Exclaimed Jiraiya, bringing out the scroll and unrolling it to show the contract with the names written in the spaces for people's names. The boy looked at Haku and shrugged his shoulders while telling the girl in secret to keep an eye on the Sannin in case he did something bad. Of course, Naruto knew that the man was going to give him something because he thought it could be used to tie him to the village, no matter if the blonde won or lost his match with Kakashi. His mother didn't tell him exactly what it was, but she told him to go along with it because the plan to catch Naruto was going to fail. Now that he knew what it was, the blonde Uzumaki walked up to the scroll, looked at it for a moment, and then used his blood to sign the contract. Once it was official, Jiraiya, who was still smiling stupidly, showed Naruto the hand signs to call a toad, which the boy did successfully in the form of a toad as big as a horse. And then asked it to throw Jiraiya across the village to the other side. Which it was happy to do, which surprised and annoyed the man. Was it wise to sign the contract, Naruto-sama? Asked Haku, who saw her master smile at her worry. Haku-kan, don't worry. Ka-san had already told me about Jiraiya's plan to try to give me something I couldn't say no to. Rest assured, his plan will fail in the end, Naruto said. Haku let out a small sigh of relief and went back to enjoying her time with him. Flashback is over. Jiraiya thought, it's time to catch a naughty Jinchuriki. As he did the hand signs to bring Naruto to him and catch the boy. Only to find out that it didn't work. Jiraiya was shocked that his plan to do a reverse summoning didn't work, so he quickly tried to call one of the toads for answers. To his horror, he couldn't even make a tadpole appear. What kind of trickery, deception, or magic was this? Surprised, Jiraiya-san? Asked a voice from behind the Sannin in a calm, cool tone. Wait, what? Jiraiya was surprised and asked, Itachi? As Itachi nodded. You look shocked. You didn't think I wouldn't want to see my mistress's son fight Hitaki Kakashi, did you? Itachi had been called to Konoha by his mistress a few days earlier, so he did what any good servant of a powerful being would do. Today has been full of surprises, Jiraiya answered in a mysterious way. Itachi did nothing but nod. Yes, that's true. First, Naruto won the match he was in. Second, you can't surprise call him back to your side to catch the boy by calling him back to your side. Third, you can't call the toads to help you anymore. And now I'm here, even though your so-called spies just told you I was still in Nami, Itachi said as Jiraiya narrowed his eyes at him. They were or rather are still under a genjutsu, Jiraiya said, and Itachi nodded again. Right on. Was easy to find them. As for you, it looks like the toads have finally decided to give up on you as their summoner and find someone else. Or rather. As their former summoner, Itachi said, and Jiraiya's eyes got even narrower as he looked at him. Jiraiya said, you were expecting it, and Itachi nodded. Right on. Itachi asked Jiraiya, can you guess how I know? As he watched Jiraiya look back at Naruto's retreating form, which was soon going to be in the stands by his mother and out of reach, and then look at the Uchiha again. The evil queen. She did this in some way, Jiraiya said, and Itachi laughed at him. Partially right. Itachi said, she did have something to do with it, but not in the way you think, Jiraiya. He said this as he watched Jiraiya put the pieces together and become furious at the toad's betrayal. So they betrayed me. And Konoha, Jiraiya said with anger. Were you different when Naruto was around? With his father and mother? Itachi asked, while Jiraiya's frown got even worse when Minato and Kushina were brought up. When the time was right, I planned to train Naruto. Jiraiya said, I don't have to explain myself to you or anyone else. Itachi raised an eyebrow at him. What a braggart. Itachi said, and here I thought Orochimaru was the one with a big head, before he changed into a crow and flew to Maleficent's side. In Maleficent's case. Good job, son. You fought well, Maleficent said as she watched her son walk up to her and kneel down in front of her. I was still irritable. I thought I could handle it better. Please forgive me, Naruto said with sadness, wishing he could keep his feelings about this village in check. Naruto knew he was better, but he also knew he had a long way to go before he could say that Konoha no longer bothered him. Give it some time, my son. Still, you are very young. Members of the Uzumaki clan are known for having short tempers, and you are no exception, Maleficent said as she put her hand on his shoulder. How did you like the match, Gaara? Naruto asked him as Gaara smiled at him. Thanks to your hard work, there wasn't much to see. Gaara said, the bloody mist was impressive, and using shadow clones to throw off your opponent was smart, given how things turned out. Naruto smiled. Naruto told Gaara, shadows and distractions are a ninja's best weapons in a fight. Gaara nodded in agreement. Karen said as Itachi landed on Maleficent's shoulder and cawed once, from the way the Sandaime is staring at us, I'd say he's very unhappy with how things turned out. Of course he's staring at you, sweetie. Not only did Naruto win his match, but his backup plan in case he lost has been successfully thwarted, Maleficent said to the Hokage as she grinned and said, I win again. He should be concentrating on the Chunin exams, not on wanting to cut you in half with a sword, Naruto said as he turned to face the Sandaime and scowled at the old man. Indeed, Maleficent said, giving the other daimyos around her a knowing look as she looked at them. We agree. The fire daimyo told one of his servants, tell the Sandaime to start the Chunin exams. The servant nodded. Maleficent just smiled and gave Naruto a kiss on the head. She did the same for Gaara so that he wouldn't feel left out. If the former fairy queen knew one thing about Jinchuriki when they were as young as these two, it was that they needed a lot of love. She was more than happy to give them both the love they needed but had never gotten before.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.